And ladies and gentlemen, we now move ahead with the next oration. That's Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Memorial Oration. This year, this oration is being conferred on Professor Dev Pehlajani, the past president of Cardiological Society of India and currently director of cardiology at the Breach Candy Hospital and Research Center in Mumbai. Uh, May I invite Professor Naveen Nanda, Professor Sandeep Bansal, Dr. Sharad Agarwal, R.N. Seth, Abhay Pandey, Professor N.N. Khanna, and Dr. A.K. Bali. This morning, Professor Pehlajani would be deliberating for the next 12 minutes on thrombus aspiration and embolic protection in STEMI, potentials and pitfalls. Professor Pehlajani, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the most prestigious oration of the day. When we started this oration, this is the first memorial oration. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam needs no introduction to the audience. A worldwide known personality, a philosopher, a scientist, and a real great authority. We had to change the name as Memorial just a few weeks ago. And I think we are really honored to bestow upon this most prestigious oration on none other than Dr. D.B. Pehlajani. Before we really start the presentation, I'll request Professor Sandeep Bansal and all other dignitaries on the dais to please join me in bestow upon this medallion on none other than our own Dr. D.B. Pehlajani.
Good morning, Chairman and distinguished members in the audience. I consider this as a very unique opportunity and honor for me to deliver the Abdul Kalam Memorial Oration. I wish I had delivered this oration when this great man was alive, but nonetheless, where he may be, I offer my prayers for his soul to rest in peace, for this great man who was a great scientist, a great teacher, and above all, a very great human being. And I hope I will be able to do justice to what this man had taught us and go on the path of the truth, which I'm going, some of the aspects of my talk that I'm going to present in the next 12 minutes duration. I'm going to talk to you on the thrombus aspiration followed by immediate or delayed stenting. As all of you know, myocardial infarction is caused by the thrombotic occlusion of the coronary artery. Here's a patient who has had an inferior wall infarction, and the coronary angiography is done within the first couple of hours after the coronary event, and you can see the right coronary is totally occluded by the thrombus in the right coronary artery for this patient who has an inferior wall infarction. What is the best optimum treatment for such a patient? The studies have shown that if you see a patient who has an acute myocardial infarction, the best way to retrieve or sort of salvage his myocardium is to do a primary angioplasty and restore the flow, epicardial blood flow, to what we call as TIMI 3 flow. And as you see, when you compare with TIMI 0, TIMI 1, TIMI 2 and TIMI 3 flow, you can see when you achieve a TIMI 3 flow, the mortality is close to 1/3 of the patient in whom there is a TIMI 0 flow. It's not only the TIMI 3 flow in the epicardial vessel, but it's also important that you should achieve the microvascular flow as well, because ultimately it's the integrity of the microvasculature that determines the ultimate prognosis. However, when you do an angioplasty, primary angioplasty, by doing the balloon dilatation, deploying the stent, the thrombus gets fragmented, the debris goes down and obstructs the microvasculature. And the effects of this thromboembolization during primary PCI could lead to a no reflow, slow flow, poor TIMI-3 flow, poor myocardial blush grade, which is in a measure of the microvascular flow, and that could lead to a large size myocardial infarction. For example, here's a patient in whom if angioplasty was done. This is a post-mortem specimen, and you can see the epicardial arteries are clean. However, at the apex, you can see there is a myocardial blush grade of 0 to 1, which is not our aim. Our aim is to achieve a myocardial blush grade of 3, leading to a large size of apical myocardial infarction. This distal embolization is not uncommon. It usually occurs in about 15% of patients who undergo primary PCI for STEMI, and this is associated with large infarct and lower ejection fraction. For example, you can see here the left ventricular ejection fraction, cardiac enzyme raise mortality is higher in the patients who had the distal embolization versus the patients who had no distal embolization. So how do we prevent this? There are several devices which have been used over last decade or so. Some of them are called as the mechanical devices, but the most common that we use is called as a simple catheter manual aspiration by catheters, which are marketed by different companies like Export Catheter, Pronto Catheter, Rescue Catheter, Eliminate. There are several catheters available. However, all the large size devices like filter wire, angiojet, they have shown that not only they have no benefit, but as a matter of fact, that could be injurious to the coronary arteries, producing kind of, as a matter of fact, larger size infarct. In our lab, we use this export catheter, which gets into the coronary arteries, and you suck out the thrombus, and many times, 70 to 80% of the time, you aspirate a debris, which is nothing but a thrombus material. For example, to show you, here's a patient who has big lateral wall infarction. A coronary angiography is done within 1 hour, and you can see the circumflex artery is totally occluded, and then you can see a dot moving, and that moves through the thrombus and sucks out and aspirates the catheter. And after that, if you see, the artery has got some lesion, still residual lesion, and then after the 2 stents are deployed, you can see the patient has got not only a good TIMI-3 flow, but look at the apex or look at the lateral side of the left ventricle, and you can see there's a good myocardial blush grade. Now therefore it makes sense, logic, that if you aspirated out a thrombus, there should be no place for the distal embolization or debris going down into the microvasculature. But unfortunately, in medicine, 2 plus 2 is never 4. So though the logic says do it, but do the studies actually show that you should do in every case, or every case will benefit from this aspiration, manual aspiration of the thrombus? So therefore, we always take trials, and here is a trial, what is called as Infuse AM trial, in which 229 patients were randomized to no manual aspiration, equal number to the no aspiration, and you can see whether you did the manual aspiration, did not do a manual aspiration, there was no difference in the TIMI flow as well as the myocardial blush grade. Therefore, the trial was negative for recommending a patient to undergo a manual thrombus aspiration. Then came a very large scale trial, what is called as a TAPAS trial, in which patients were again randomized to the 2 arms, primary aspiration with export catheter and conventional stenting without a manual aspiration. And that was one trial which showed that definitely manual aspiration did benefit the patient, because when you look at the blush score, which was higher in the patients who had an aspiration versus the patient who had a controlled primary PCI without an aspiration. However, everybody is there to challenge something which comes out good, because ultimately there are investigators. They have nothing else to do. They keep on investigating. So their trial came what is called as a test trial, which was presented last year in the European Society of Cardiology and subsequently published into the New England Journal of Medicine. And that trial confirmed what Infuse AMI trial had shown, that there was no benefit of the manual aspiration in patients who presented with a primary PCI. Then some smart guy said that if the manual aspiration with stenting is not helping, shall we take a different strategy? We do a manual aspiration and do not deploy the stent at the same time, because that can produce a little bit more of debris going down. So they call what this call as a deferred stent implantation. You do a manual aspiration, then next day you take the patient to the lab, and at that time you deploy a stent. And they found that if you did the immediate stenting versus the deferred stenting, the incidence of no or slow flow, final TIMI myocardial blush grade, and distal embolization was far less in the patients who had the deferred stenting. That means you do a manual aspiration, now you restored a TIMI 3 flow into the epicardial vessel, and then you take the patient back to the CCU. Next day bring the patient to the lab and do the stenting as what is called as a deferred stenting. However, this involves keeping the patient in the hospital for a longer time. The patient's anxiety is great, and by the time in between, while the patient is waiting into the CCU, 10% of the patient develop a reocclusion. Therefore, they might have to be taken to the cath lab in emergency at the middle of the night, which may not give you the ideal and optimum results. So therefore, why there are conflicting results? You can see on one side showing benefit, on the other side there is no benefit. The difference comes because there are different aspiration catheters which are differently effective in aspirating the thrombus material. Some of them have got a large tip which sort of injures the thrombus, causes a distal embolization. Very important is the timing of even few minutes will make a difference. And I'll show you a slide which has been taken from the, which is histopathological slide from the thrombus which is aspirated at different times. I think that's most important thing. Here are the A, B, C, 3 types of thrombi which are aspirated at different times. On the top, on the left hand side in A, you see a thrombus which is very freshly aspirated. It is a real fresh thrombus with platelets, fibrin and few RBCs. In between, by the time within few hours time, the thrombus has started to become edematous. You see some halo areas in the center, which is edema, which can cause, can lead to the microvascular injury. And at the bottom is taken at least 12 hours later after the onset of the chest pain. That shows the organization in the thrombus occurring. And an organized thrombus does not get compressed easily. It is keeps on reoccluding, causes a lot of distal embolization, and therefore earlier you do, better it is. So the mantra in primary PCI is to do early, and if your patient comes very early to you, then your patient thrombus is probably what is shown in A, and therefore that will give you a better microvascular TIMI 3 or MBG of TIMI 3. And so therefore, ladies and gentlemen, with all these conflicting data, what are our guidelines? I think we heard our lawyer telling us that we should listen to or read about the guidelines, read about our books. As of now, as an interventional cardiologist, I can tell you, I practice manual aspiration practically in every patient. And I go by the guidelines which are given by the ACC/AHA guidelines, which suggest aspiration thrombectomy is reasonable for patients undergoing primary PCI. It has got a class 2 indication with a level of evidence B. And I think until some data comes in future which suggests you should not do, or some different devices come, I think as of now, I think it's a very reasonable procedure or reasonable device to use during the primary PCI. Thank you very much, and again thank the organizers Dr. Chopra, Dr. Parashar, and everyone to sort of having given me an opportunity to deliver this very prestigious oration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That was actually a very fitting tribute to one of the greatest Indians of all times. I remember about a decade ago, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was inaugurating a conference live via satellite. And he floored all the guests who had come there from Europe. And in fact, one of them got up and said, "Sir, why don't they export some politicians like you to Europe also?" So he was one Indian who won accolades both during his lifetime and also continues to do so even after his death. And your talk, sir, is a fitting tribute. It's an absolutely wonderful talk on that subject, and I congratulate you for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairpersons. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to congratulate Professor Dev Pelajani on being conferred Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Memorial Oration for the year 2015. We now move ahead. We'd like to thank all the chairpersons